So today what we're going to do is we're going to look at a system of 3 equations. So up until this point we had 2, right? Now what we're going to do is we're going to have 3. And so what you're going to end up having is something like this. Okay, and so what we do is we call all of these points here the vertices. And they have some special, we can do some special things with those. But that's what we call, so the vertex here would actually be at 2, 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7, 3, and then this one would be at 3, 4, 5, 5, 8. Okay, so that's kind of our goal. And so if you look at this first one that we have, and you should go ahead and have a copy of that, we're going to graph each of those lines and then find out where they intersect in the middle. So x is greater than or equal to 0. What type of line is that? Straight, yeah, but elaborate more. Straight? Up and down, vertical. There we go. Solid line then? So we've got a solid line.
Wait, why is it up
at
and down?
0, because x is always 0. So
I know,
now
but x is the horizontal axis, isn't
it's
it?
always the opposite when you graph the line.
Oh.
Okay. And so then now, which way am I going to shade for greater than?
To the right.
To the right. Yep, so you're going to want to do a light shade because we've got 3 of these. So do a fairly light shade to the right. Okay, so you're probably going to, like I said, want to pick a lighter color. Yes, you're going to shade the whole thing because that's the whole thing that's greater than 0. So there's your first line. Pick a little darker one for the next one. Okay?
So we need 3 colors?
You need 3 colors. So there's our first one. Now we're going to do is y is less than or equal to 3. So what type of line is y? Horizontal. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and do a horizontal line at y equals 3. And which way are you going to shade this one?
Down.
Down, because it's less than, so we're going to shade down. So, right there. So now you can see we've kind of got a little rectangle that we're looking for a solution set. So now the third one, pick the darkest one of the 3. Doesn't matter which color you choose to use. We need to find the slope and the y-intercept. So first of all, what's the slope going to be?
2x.
Negative 2 over negative 3. Because remember, here's A, B, and C. So I do negative A over B, which is 2/3. My y-intercept is what? 9 over, so my y-intercept is at negative 3. So you're going to come down and put a dot at negative 3. And then I'm going to do a slope of 2/3, which means you do what?
Up to.
Up 2 over 3. Up 2 over 3. What type of line? Solid or dashed?
Solid.
Solid. So now I'm going to go ahead and draw my line through that.
I'm so good at drawing straight lines.
Yeah. Mine's not right there this time, I'll tell you that much. There we go. Close enough. Now what we need to do is figure out what side of the line are you going to shade. Are you going to shade the upper left or the lower right? So how do you do that?
Take a.
Yep.
Like 0, 0.
Yep, pick a point. So let's pick 0, 0, which is actually right here. And let's plug 0, 0 into our equation. So if I plug 0 in for x and 0 in for y, I get 0 is greater than or equal to 9. Is that a true statement?
No.
No, so am I going to shade with the 0, 0?
No.
No, so where am I going to shade?
Below.
Below. And so if you notice, your solution is going to be something that's shaded all 3 ways. And so what you might want to do, be real careful because there's some tricky ones here. This should be a boundary, and that should be a boundary, and then this diagonal line right here. So your solution is actually right here. Okay, so that is your solution. Questions? Alrighty, so we're gonna look at one more, and then that'll be good for today. Alright, so let's go ahead and look at the third one, or the second one, sorry. Now this one's a little different because if you notice, I didn't have everything all nice and neat with the X's and the Y's, the horizontal and the vertical lines. So if I go ahead and look at this first one, what can you tell me is the slope of the first line?
-1.
-1, good. What's the y-intercept?
3.
Okay, so that's what I need to do. I need to go ahead and graph a y-intercept of 3 and a slope of -1. What does the slope of -1 mean? Down 1 over 1. Now, what type of line am I going to use here? A dashed line. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is I need to go ahead and use a dashed line on that one. And so my dashed line will be right there. So what side of the line do I shade on?
You have to pick a point.
Yep, pick a point. Go ahead and pick a point. Tell me what side.
0.
0, 0. So if you plug 0, 0 in, you get 0 is less than 0 plus 3. Is 0 less than 3?
Yes.
So which side am I going to shade?
That half.
Yep, good. So I'm going to shade this side. There we go. Next line. We need to figure out the slope, folks. What's the slope going to be? -1 over 5, yep. What's the y-intercept going to be?
15 over 5.
15 over 5, which is?
3.
3. So see how those shortcuts are working? They work really well. So I've got a y-intercept of 3. So I'm on the same point. The difference here is that I'm going to graph a slope of -1/5, which means you do what? Down 1 and over 5. Ooh, so I'm only going to be able to put 2 dots there on this graph. What type of line? Solid or dashed?
Solid.
Fabulous. Making fun of me? Yeah, okay, I see how you are. Okay. So here we go, here's our line. Now we need to figure out what side of the line do we shade? Bottom or top?
Pick a point.
Pick a point, so if I plug 0, 0 in, I get
Is less than
0 is less than 15, is that true?
Yes.
Yeah, so I'm going to shade
With 0.
with 0, 0, so I'm going to shade below. I need to pick a darker one this time around because I didn't do darker one last time. Alrighty, so now you should see you've got 2 colors shaded, and let's find the slope of the third one. What's the slope of the third one? 1, because it's -1 over -1, which is 1. What's my y-intercept? Y-intercept close is 3 divided by -1, which is -3. So -3, and then I'm going to go up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1. Solid or dashed?
Solid.
Solid. The reason why it's solid again is because it was greater than or equal to. I'm going to go ahead and draw my line through. All right, now I need to figure out which side am I going to shade. So pick a point.
0 is less than 3.
So if I plug 0, 0 in, I get 0 is greater than 3. Is that true?
Sorry, my bad.
No.
No, so which way am I going to shade?
Just
To the below. So if I shade below this line, you're going to notice that you have, this is kind of an odd shaped one,
Dang it,
right here.
I shaded the wrong one.
It's okay, just go in with the dark. If you end up shading the wrong one, what you can do is just grab like something really dark, and if you have to, just almost blacken it in. But this is the area you should have gotten. Questions?
That area borders on all 3 lines.
it's shaded all three ways. It doesn't have to be, I mean, it is bordered. So that is the intersection point. So any point in here will satisfy all three inequalities, and you have 4 problems for me. So add these to your existing assignment. Tomorrow we will check the assignment in full.